Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Super-Fanta-Fi. This being a show where it's about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the mid-season finale of Manifest. This being season 4, episode 10, the part 1 of the final season finale, however you want to refer to it as. A great episode. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So we immediately pick up with it being Angelina, who has the Omega Sapphire, and she's practically walking down the street and holding on to it, cracking pavement. So obviously it was going to be her in the long run, but obviously they're rushing to try and track down this Sapphire. Because initially they were trying to find Egan. Well, they found Egan, but he had a concussion. He was in a coma at the time, so they had to wait for him to wake up. Which he pointed Jarrett and Michaela in the direction of Angelina, but no one knew where she was because they had to track her down. And it's like, yeah, if Egan wasn't such a selfish prick, then this wouldn't have all kind of fallen out the way it did. It's like, once again, his decisions and so many, I guess we can make the argument, technically this all started with him. If he had just done his first calling like he was supposed to, they would have had the Omega Sapphire, and this probably would have put them in the, but it's like, hey, all good things, right? I guess, in this sad situation, it's hard to kind of say that, but I think it's like, it was all meant to play out like this. It was always meant to be, whether it's like predetermined or not. It's hard to say that when it's like, yeah, this is all about humanity being tried, whether or not they are found worthy of living or not, or whether this is them facing extinction. And it's like, it's hard to say whether that's predetermined or not, because it's leaving up enough to be like, no, it's up to you to determine. It's up to you to prove whether or not you're worthy of passing this trial. And so Angelina is sinking that lifeboat. The lifeboat has already been sinking for a quick minute, but Angelina's sinking it deeper and deeper and deeper. And so now they've got to find her, and everyone's going. Obviously, no one wanted to leave because Cal's in that really rough state, and nobody wants to leave him right now. But he's like, right, you guys need to go get the Sapphire. Maybe it'll help heal me. I don't know if Cal actually believes that, or was it just a thing of, everyone's in danger. This is bigger than me, so I need you to go find the Sapphire, but I'll make you think like, okay, it's about saving me, but it's like, even I don't think it will, but I know it will save the others, so maybe he's using that as motivation. I don't know, maybe he believes it, but I don't know for sure if he believes it or not about it saving him, but he knows it can be the salvation of everyone, so that's why he's pushing his family to really go look for it. So TJ comes over and he sees Cal, and you can tell he's kind of a little awkward around Cal because his mom died in the time he was gone. She was sick, wasn't she? If I remember correctly, I do remember his mom passed away, but I couldn't remember how. I think she was sick and she died in the time he was gone. I mean, just like, Michaela and Ben's mom did too. I believe, like I said, I could be mistaken. I just don't remember the details off the top of my head. So part of me wonders if seeing Cal like that is a reminder. Maybe it just hit a little close to home for him to be like, yeah, seeing Cal like that, especially because, I mean, it's like, yeah, you hung around this kid, you were friends, and now it's like, seeing him in his state like this, it's just kind of like, man, he doesn't deserve to have his life cut short like that. And even Zeke doing that beautiful thing of like, hey, there's a game from 2014. Here's some peanuts. He's like, I don't think I could keep down. It's like, no. When the other team scores or whatever, when the other team is up, that's when we throw peanuts at the TV. And it's like, brought a whole bunch of hot dogs and everything, making a whole event of it. It's like, I mean, that's what Zeke is really good at. He's good at comforting people. And I love that. And I thought that was so beautiful what he was doing in that regard. But there's also the Ben thing. The moment Ben saw Grace, I was like, wait, what? I was like, this is interesting. And the moment she was like, bring Eden to me, I was like, it's Angelina. I was like, I knew it. I was like, I knew it has to be her. Because even ignoring the episode title having illusion or something in the title, right? Even ignoring that, I was like, oh my God, the Sapphire can control the callings and stuff like that, connect you to divine consciousness. But even Sanvi says it later on. We forgot, before even divine consciousness, we, the passengers, the 828ers, A2-Ators, we are all connected. So she was able to tap into that and make Ben see Grace, but she didn't get all the details right, because I guess it's like, it's hard, like you have to I guess either she gave Grace her own eyes or something, because that's what Ben made. What your eyes? It's like, those aren't your eyes. It's like, this is an illusion. It's like, that's some genjutsu level shit. I was like, wow, she can do that. What else can this Sapphire do? I mean, it's cracking pavements. It ends up calling a volcano later. We'll get to that later. But it's like, the fact that she can create illusions, and then it's like, even Vance is like, wait, if she can create false callings, how do you know what's real or not? It's like, we don't. You can't differentiate between them. I'm like, that's deadly. That is, and Angelina's the worst person you want to be able to have access to that kind of power. It's like, holy cow, that sucks a lot. And then Angelina pulls out the gun, and it's like, right, I'm taking Eden with me. He's like, all right, if you believe so wholeheartedly she's your guardian angel and that she's going to choose you, then let her choose. And when Eden had the opportunity, I was scared. I was like, oh, she's going to pick Angelina, isn't she? And that's going to like just make Angelina dive deeper into this belief. But it's like, no, she chose Ben. And even then, Ben's running away with Eden. What does Angelina do? She like pops off a shot. I'm like, you could have hit your quote unquote guardian angel. And so it's like, cool. Losing Eden just made her snap even more. And then with all her rage, and because they're connected, she sent that shockwave throughout every A2-Ater, apparently all across the country, because they are all connected. In that moment, everyone felt it. Also, that made me, because I thought I remembered that TJ didn't like beat his death date, because if he had beaten his death date, everyone would have beaten. But I couldn't remember, because like some of the stuff didn't have him, but I guess that's just whatever, right? Certain people got the callings when they needed to. It's just because they're not all in the same place when it comes to the callings, but the Sapphire kind of puts them all in the same place. So even TJ felt it, like everyone, because Jarrett showed up for work at the registry and saw some A2-Aters getting in trouble, well, like in pain. And the douchebag cop that Jarrett has beef with, he ends up arresting a dad. It's like, right, if they display anything, it's like, well, you don't know what their whole thing is. That's the really sucky thing, because it's like, the general public doesn't know what an A2-Ater's like visions are really all about. That's not public knowledge. And the reason why they don't want to tell the public, because it's going to, well, they're already seen as different and monstrosity. So why would they publicly let you know, like, our visions are to help people? They're just going to think like, oh, like, what kind of evil it, everything that people already think about them. So it's like, yeah, any display of like some visions or anything, that's why they immediately grabbed Michaela after. It's like, oh, you've been dodging us for months, but now it's like, oh, this is that. Then also on top of this, now they're doing all this. And sadly, reform was made immediately all across the board, because all the registries around the country saw like, oh, A2-Aters are like activated, like something's going on here. So now all A2-Aters are supposed to be locked up and they're not allowed to leave U.S. soil. The worst case scenario has finally happened. It's like, yeah, it was already an issue beforehand, the registry and already, but now it's like, no, you're just straight up being locked up. Just kind of like, there ain't no real due process here. It's just like you're an A2-Ater, you're getting locked up. And it's like, wow, that sucks. And obviously at the same time, this is all happening. There's the whole thing with the Sapphire. Plus Zombie's trying to do everything she can to try and save Cal's life, but he's running out of time and he knows it. And now it's a thing of Cal never got to find out why he grew these pads, like why he got aged up. Even Zeke was like, yeah, I don't know why I have these powers. I didn't know this was going to be the end result, but I'll go ahead and say, like, I figured Zeke was going to die in it, because they were playing it up too much of like, yeah, like, oh, like that felt too much like they're setting up their happily ever after too much for it to actually happen. It feels like that's going to be ripped. It's like, man, no one's going to walk away from this show happy. Not unless some stuff gets undone. I don't know. I just don't know. Like, I don't know if there can be an undoing this, or when it's all set right, everyone can be saved. I don't know what to fully make of that, So they were able to track down Angelina, because Olive is like, yo, I know that calling that Michaela got, because I helped Olive deal with it, and she took me to the school, so I knew exactly where she would be. So at the same time, like, Ben and Michaela go to deal with that. To Angelina, it's like no longer like, oh, I need an angel. She's like, I thought you were chasing me, faceless creature, but no, you're trying to tell me I'm the angel. And pure molten lava is coming up, because she believes that she's the one. Like, I was the one chosen to judge everyone. It's like, but Ben's like, no, you're just like us. You're just a regular, normal person being judged on a live vote like every one of us. In fact, your actions are sinking everyone else. But she's like, no, no, no. I'm the one here to judge those who can be saved and who shall not be. Once again, it's like obviously the most extreme elements of like Adrian. Like he helped kind of form this. I mean, once again, her parents, I mean, they were looking for a demon, and it's like, once again, it's not even on Angelina. Even Ben says it is, you are a sad, lost, lonely girl. That's what this is. She is so broken because of her parents. This is their fault, you know? And it's like, it is kind of interesting that, I mean, it's just kind of like Jason them. The whole point of that was right, to show that you changed, but Jace couldn't. So Pete and Corey ended up suffering the fate. And maybe, just maybe, if they had changed, Pete would still be alive and Angelina wouldn't be down the road, because losing him made her spiral even more. She, once again, she already had her issues, but losing Pete in particular made her, because once again, she has nothing now. Her parents are gone. She has no other home. That this is all she has. She doesn't even have Eden anymore. Like, well, she already didn't have Eden before, but even more so now, because she's like, oh, I just need to get Eden back. It'll be fine. It's like, no, but it's like, fine. I'll be the angel. I'll be the one that determines like the fate of this world. And it's like, the volcano and everything is a byproduct of her. And it's like, you're causing this. And just to mess with Michaela, she ends up using Evie against her. So that sucks. At the same time this is all happening, TJ and Olive are looking into the whole, trying to figure this whole thing out. I was like, all right, figuring out, they look at the picture that the sapphire was found in, like the original. I love that TJ's like, yeah, I got it from some guy. I told some guy that I'm the one that sent it there. His name is Levi. Do you know him? And she's like, yeah. It's like, she got super awkward about that. I love it. It's like, yeah, let's not talk about that. Let's not talk about it. And I wonder, does CJ know on some level? Because he was kind of small and almost being like, okay. Or it's probably just being like I kind of know, but I won't push you on him. So they end up looking deeper into it. It's like they needed an infrared camera, which was the last thing her mom had kind of given her before she died. And even TJ saying that line of like, it sucks, you know, it's like, my mom would have loved your mom, you know, and it's like, Cal's going to be okay and everything's going to be, we're all going to be okay. And because hearing it from him makes her want to believe it even more. But they look into it. They look at the infrared, and there's like kind of dots on the picture. So using they kind of end up connecting the dots, and I figured like, oh, it's going to form the dragon, isn't it? Which it forms like a constellation that basically is a dragon. I'm like, okay, so it all comes back to Cal, because at the same time, Sanvi is dealing with the she sees Cal's scar tissue, because apparently she had run tests on it. That's why she just put it away, because nothing conclusive came back. There was just nothing about it. But now it's glowing, because he's like, he's the dragon. So like, that's why Cal's so special. He basically, I guess, is kind of like a humanoid version of the Sapphire to some extent. Like, he was kind of chosen in that regard. So that's what the dragon, that's what the scar was supposed to represent. Like, it came to him as like, yes, this is what you are. This is what you're supposed to be. You're the focal point of all of this. He's always been kind of the connective tissue. He's always had a stronger connection with the Callings than everyone else, because that's his purpose. He's supposed to be the centerfold of it. If anything, I think they are setting it up that he is kind of like the captain of this lifeboat. He's the one that could, you know, he's the one that can unsink it, while Angelina's the one that can sink it. They're like two opposite sides. And I think that's such a neat parallel, especially considering what they were last season, because he felt like, oh, we're so connected. He thought it's because I think the Callings were, because I guess it's like maybe their destinies could have been flipped. Like maybe Angelina could have been Cal and Cal could have been Angelina. Maybe that's what that's implying, or maybe it's always supposed to be that they were always going to be two opposite sides of this. Maybe they could have been the two pillars holding maybe they could have been the captain and the pilot and the co-pilot of this, but maybe Angelina going down the dark path she did makes her the iceberg in this, if you were to use like a Titanic example, you know? So, but time is running out for Cal, and he is the hope of everyone. But then you have Cal ends up channeling the power in him, and he brings Angelina into a calling above and onto the airplane. It's like, wait, you did this? And he's like, yeah, you have to stop this. but she won't stop. She has to keep going. And he's like, what are you going to do? Kill me? And like, I'm already dying. There's nothing you can do to me. So she makes Grace to try and convince him to let go. You've been fighting for so long. But for him, it's like, no. My mom, and all the time I was sick, she never wanted me to give up. My mom would never tell me to stop fighting. And, especially because so many lives are on the line. It's like, I can't stop now. I still have more to do. And she's just like, you're still that scared little boy, always worried about making mistakes. The one that couldn't save his mom. And I love that line. I'm paraphrasing here because I'm going to probably get it wrong, but it was like, you're not facing that little boy. You're facing me. That's why he had to become older, because it's like everything you need to grow up even faster, because I guess it almost had to be a thing of you had to be in a situation where you had nothing left to lose. You had no fear left, but that you were going to, no matter what, you were going to keep fighting for yourself, but more so mainly for everyone on the lifeboat. And I think even Violet has said that of like, right, he's like, because he's like, when he saved all of them, she's like, thank you. He's like, no, I did what anyone else would do. And she's like, no, I don't think you did, because I think that was already setting it up. That I said captain before, but pilot is what I meant to say before. But yeah, pilot of the lifeboat. And in that moment, Cal ends up grabbing the stone, and he ends up breaking the sapphire in real life. Because Angelina couldn't move because she was legitimately stuck in a calling, and Ben and Michaela got the family that was in the church with her out. So, but when Ben, I don't know what, I think Ben was going to bring her back. Like, it's right, you're going to face justice, you're going to repent for what you've done, but I'm not going to, I don't think he went in there to kill her. I think it was just a thing of like, right, get you out of here. Like, but because it's, I don't know, he was, at the very least, she needed to be stopped. I don't know if he was going to straight up kill her or not, but regardless, he ended up kind of leaving her behind. But it's like, right, well, we've already seen the house explosion. She managed to survive. And once again, the interesting parallel, she survived, but so did Cal, right? And now this is happening again. And overhearing Olive, because Cal's like, oh, it's time. You need to tell everyone to come. And in that moment, Zeke overhearing how important Cal is, it finally clicked in his mind, and he's seeing his hand. He realizes, like, this is what I'm meant to do. Because he had said that line to Cal. He's like, I'll make that fear of yours go away. He's like, you can absorb it, but you can't make it go away. And now Zeke realizes, like, this is what I was meant to do. I have this power. That's why I have this ability to save Cal's life. And him calling Michaela was so heartbreaking, because it's almost like this interesting inverse, especially because he's thinking back to it, like, because Cal was like, oh, you want to play Monopoly? And it was like, before, like, Zeke was supposed to die, it's like they were playing Monopoly, and he's like, oh, do you think you can beat your death date? And now, like, the roles reverse, and now it's like, right, I was given a second chance to make sure you had another chance, Kyle. I was about to call him Cal. And he ends up absorbing all of this sickness, ends up taking on himself, and even calling Michaela, it's like, right, you've always been my everything. Like, he's like, the fact is, I saw your photo, and it kept me going. And like, I knew, like, we were connected. Like, they were just, like, when we touched for the first time, like, it felt like I understood, like, every cell of you was calling out to me, and vice versa. And it's just, he knew that they were meant to be, and he got this second chance, a chance to make up for all the hurt and the pain he caused. And he says goodbye to Michaela, and they get there in time for him to say, like, he's sorry, but this is what needed to be. And that this ain't the end, like, we'll see each other again under the stars. And I'm like, that sucks, But I think for Zeke, he was looking for something. And I guess maybe even the morphine thing last episode was kind of like hinting towards that to some extent. I looked at it as like, oh, that could be a dangerous thing. It's like, nah, they were setting the stage for him making the ultimate sacrifice, saving Cal so that Cal can be around to help save the lifeboat. At the same time, this is, like I said, the hammer's going down because Sanvi and Vance get hit. But I'm like, how would they know where Sanvi and Vance are? This is super off the, like, out there. Like, how would they know about it? Because Dr. Gupta betrayed them. Because she's like, right, I told you this is what would happen when you lost. Like, why are you going to blame them because they didn't get the Omega Sapphire? It's on Angelina. Like, why are you going to want to put that on them? But it's like, right, you're the ones that wanted to play God. You went looking for the sapphire, and because of that, she ended up finding it. So I guess that's why she's putting it on them. It's like, well, what do you want us to do about it? You're doing so much harm. But for her, it's like, right, I'm trying to save the world and stuff like that. It's like, you doing what you're doing is actually going to doom the world because, all these people are going to be experimented on and treated like lab rats. They're not going to be treated like humans because what the Major did do you think the government, there's going to be another major doing exactly what going to be doing, because Zombie didn't want to become the major, and I hope Dr. Gupta can prevent herself becoming the major. She might just end up being the major in this situation, especially considering, like, hey, she was all about, like, hey, we can weaponize this. Who's to say other people in the government won't feel the same now that the hammers dropped down, and that father getting separated from his child in this episode, like, for her, she thinks like what she's doing is saving the world. It's like, no, you doing what you're doing is actually leaving the world defenseless from Angelina, who at the end, like, there's a fragment of the sapphire left, and she grabs onto it and her hand gets burned. I was like, hey, yo! But then it's like, it gets melted into her skin. So now it's like her and Cal are like even kiltered, because like it's also the opposite arms too, and I think that's supposed to be the point. Because it was her left hand is where the sapphire is, and it's the arm that's messed up, and Cal's right arm is the one with the dragon. So they are like literal opposites to each other. They are kind of and I like I said, I do feel like if you look back at their dynamic last season, it kind of feels like this set the stage for that. But slight spoilers, this episode ended on some like Stranger Things season 4 finale. Like, though, I mean, we are heading towards an apocalyptic event, and so it's like, this is where we are. We are entering the end game, because Cal's got this power, but whether he has full control over it or not, who knows? But at the very least, Angelina's got her own. Once again, bringing that whole thing of, cool, you have a calling. How do you know it's real? And it's not just Angelina messing with you. You just don't know anymore. I mean, Cal's there to kind of counterbalance that, but we don't know what the end result's going to be. Hell of a way to set the final stage for all this. I mean, I say the final stage, but with the way this ended, you're almost like, it's kind of crazy to think like, wait, we're going to have 10 more episodes after this. I had to look just to make sure. I'm like, did they shorten like how much is going to be in the second half of the season? It's like, no, it seems like it's still a full 20 episodes. So it is 10 more episodes in the final part of this season. So I'm like, dude, like, so Angelina must be on some like, yo, I'm out here causing all the chaos, and they must have to try and resolve that. And it's like, right, so I have to deal with the aftermath of Zeke and everything. It's like, Olive didn't want to lose anyone. The whole point was that like she didn't want to lose Cal. Didn't make it mean she wanted to lose Zeke either. And it's like I said, not unless there's a way to fix all of this by saving everyone. But I mean, now it almost makes you worry. It's like, well, Zeke died, and it's like a lot of people they care about were also on that plane. But once again, that's indicative of just, it's supposed to be like the world failing if the lifeboat sank, because they're the ones being judged, and if they fail judgment, then everyone is. So it's just like, dude. And I'm so curious to see what happens, because once again, like I said, the hammer's coming down on all 828ers, and that includes Michaela, Ben, and TJ, and Cal, who are all there at the house right now. So what's going to happen on that front when we come back? We'll ultimately have to wait and see. Obviously, there is no official date for the second half of the season. I don't know if they're currently filming that right now or not. I'm assuming that because they split it up like this, Netflix is kind of doing that more and more. But I think it's probably like a filming thing of like, right, the first 10 episodes is what they were probably aiming for, to releasing that regardless. But that also gave them buffer time to finish filming the rest of the season as well. So I think they're still probably in the middle of currently maybe still filming the second half of the season, or whatever the case may be. But it's going to be wild to see where this all goes, because we are mega level deep in all of this now, and with all the 828ers not only locked up right now, going to be locked up all across the country. And it's like, how do you face off against Angelina, when she's like going buck wild like she can. And it's like, obviously what she does isn't just affecting like 828ers. She can, well, that's also the thing too. She can get inside 828ers' heads. She can basically make them bend and do what she wants. But she's also like judging the entire world when you have the power to literally cause the world to kind of burn with like lava the way you are. So it's like, I don't know how Angelina's situation is just going to make the 828er situation even worse. So every time you think she's out, she comes back with a vengeance. I think it's so interesting that she's basically become like the main antagonist, especially because you would have never thought that, considering it's like, right, the Major was the main antagonist, but she got dealt with in season 2. I believe, yeah, that was season 2. So it's like, it's kind of wild to think like, no. Wasn't that season 2 she was dealt with, or was it like it might have been the end of season 1 she might have died. I don't remember now off the top of my head. But it's like, yeah, now it's a situation of, no, I'm actually sitting here thinking about it. I forgot about the fact is the first season was a little bit longer. It was 18 episodes, if I remember correctly. So this actually being 20 is actually really beneficial in that regard, because it's like it's just 2 more episodes longer than you originally, because they ordered more episodes for the first season. And I believe season 2 and 3 were both just 13. But like I said, the show was potentially planned as like a 6-season plan, but they probably expedited a lot of stuff. But also because it is like 10 episode halves of a season, technically we're getting a season 4 and season 5 because of that. So it kind of works out to some extent. Like I said, they probably had to expedite stuff a lot faster than probably what they were originally going to do, but maybe the end result was still going to be what it is. I don't know. Either way, I'm so excited to see what happens when the second half of the season, when the final 10 episodes premiere at some point. Obviously, I doubt. Obviously, there's not enough time left in this year for that to happen. Like I said, I'm pretty sure they're filming it, so it'll probably drop maybe spring of next year. So probably won't be waiting too long. It'll probably only be like a couple months. But I'm so excited to see this final chapter in this story, and will they prove to be worthy? And will it be about stopping Angelina, or will it be about redeeming Angelina? Because if Cal can redeem her, which I believe he is, maybe that's what this has all been about. Like why Cal was meant to keep her around, because if anyone can save her from herself, it's him. And because by saving her and him, because if one of them fails, they all fail, and Angelina's on a path to failure. So it's like, right, we got to get everyone on board, find out whatever Adrian's up to. Once again, blood on his hands. Still don't know if that's already been resolved because of the Noelle thing, or whether that's still a future thing. But get Egan to stop being a selfish prick too. So we're all on board, because it's like, right, everything's on the line. So we'll ultimately have to wait and see where all of this ends up taking us. I should also probably think, because of that, there probably will be like a pretty major time skip to get closer to the death date a little bit. Probably not that much closer to the death date. It makes you wonder, would that even get expedited even more because of where Angelina is now? Like, it's supposed to be 2024, but it's like that might get moved up even more so because of maybe like the longer Angelina's running rampant with the Sapphire, the actual faster things are actually sliding downhill. So like I said, we'll have to wait and see. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.